name is Amanda Pratt. I'm a licensed clinical social worker with Imagine Life Therapy, and I am a chronic illness therapist. Today, I want to talk a little bit about something we call the frequency effect. This term describes what happens when we see things frequently. So there's a saying, once you see it, you can't unsee it. This might come up if someone says that they're seeing a particular type of car, and then you say, man, now I'm seeing them everywhere. Or maybe you think about how you want to buy a certain outfit, and then you see it on random people throughout the day. And then you start to think, this is happening more. So we interpret the frequency effect by assuming that we're seeing it more because it's actually happening more. So the problem with this is that that's not actually true. Our brain is designed to focus attention on patterns. And so what will happen is you consciously or subconsciously are actually priming your brain to see that thing, and then you're seeing it and noticing it because your brain is actively seeking it out. It doesn't actually mean it's happening more. It just means that your brain has gotten better at noticing it. So there's another name for this effect, and it's also referred to as the Baader Meinhof effect and the Baader Meinhof Phenomenon. And this is just another name for it. They're the same thing. But Baader Meinhof was actually a militant German group, so there's a whole story behind that. But we refer to it as the frequency effect, and it leads to what we call confirmation bias. So confirmation bias is that assumption that when we see something, it is supporting that thing that we think is real. So this comes up in a lot of different areas, mostly in our thoughts and beliefs. So what we might see here is someone saying, okay, I think that having a chronic illness, for example, means I'm going to suffer for the rest of my life and be miserable, and there's nothing useful that I can do. And so once someone thinks about that as a possibility, they're going to see it more frequently. So they're going to be finding evidence more frequently that that thing is true because they've primed their brain to see it, and then the frequency effect comes into play, and they're going to start seeing it everywhere. So they might be seeing posts on social media that show people with chronic illness suffering and not doing anything useful. They might be seeing it in movies. They might see examples of it in real life, but they're interpreting that as being a fact, that because they're seeing it more often means that that's the only possibility, and that that is what we call a confirmation bias, is when you see something that confirms your belief about something, that you then believe it even more. The problem with this is the only reason you're seeing it more and it's confirming your belief is because of the frequency effect. So you're seeing it more often because you've primed your brain to see it. Your brain is then actively seeking out patterns because that's what it's supposed to do. Then when you see that pattern, it confirms your belief, and then you have a confirmation bias, and none of it's actually based on facts. So one of the problems that this brings up is when we have a belief or a thought or something that is brought up frequently through the frequency effect, and then it confirms a belief we have, it actually prevents us from investigating further, from learning, from being open to truth, and it can get us stuck in kind of like a learned helplessness state, especially when you have a chronic illness. And this can be detrimental to your disease management, because if you don't have hope, if you don't have, you're not constantly investigating, you're not constantly seeking out truth or open to new ideas or new ways of doing things, new ways of living, new ways of thinking, then you aren't going to actually be motivated to change anything for yourself, and therefore you're going to be stuck in a sense of perpetual misery and negativity, and that increases your stress, leads to depression. You worry about the future, which then leads to anxiety, and all these things kind of play in together. So one of the best things that you can do when you have a chronic illness is try to recognize confirmation bias, try to become more aware of your thoughts, try to learn more about the process your thoughts have and the habits that you specifically have, because all of our thought habits are different and our belief habits are different, and question them. Be curious about them, approach them with curiosity, and don't automatically believe everything that comes into your head. Don't necessarily believe that your beliefs are truth. It is just a belief you have, and there may be other information out there that could change that. And if you're open to change, you're going to be more likely to see it. So this is one of the things I do with my clients. We work on a lot of thought work, a lot of beliefs. Where did your beliefs come from? What evidence are you finding to support these beliefs? Is there another way that we can interpret these situations that you see? And we really challenge that. And that work, I think, is some of the best work that you can do, because it's ultimately going to make you more open to things. It's going to let you see other opportunities you wouldn't have seen before. And it's going to lead you to be more likely to changing and having positive outcomes in your chronic illness. We know statistically that if someone is not adjusting well psychologically to chronic illness, then their disease outcomes are going to be worse, and it can actually make them more likely to have other illnesses come up. And that is something that we definitely don't want. So there's a lot of work that we can do in therapy around how you respond to your illness, how you manage it, what you do from day to day, and how you approach the different situations and experiences that come up as a result of that, including your symptoms. So that was just a little snippet of some information that I wanted to share today. So if you have any thoughts, please feel free to comment them below, and I'm happy to have a dialogue with you. Hope you have a great day. And again, this is Amanda Pratt, licensed clinical social worker with Imagine Life Therapy, the chronic illness therapist.